Chapter 10. Summer sparks and freshman fall, 1996 was a bitch, but so was puberty. As the warm breath of summer wrapped itself around Edgerton like a sweaty fucking hug from a sunburned uncle who smoked too many goddamn Winstons, I found myself trading school books for pizza dough and pool sticks. I was working decent hours at Mario's Pizza, flinging cheese like a culinary ninja with PTSD. And on weekends, I still made time to escape to Non-Toxic, the teen center that had become my personal sanctuary of, please let me just vibe without someone screaming at me or accusing me of stealing their shitty lighter. There, I wasn't the broken kid with a messy past. I was just another teenager talking trash at the pool table and aggressively losing at foosball like it was my spiritual fucking calling. Then, as if the universe got bored and decided to spice this shit up, something unexpected happened. I was out in the driveway trying to channel Randy's mechanical wisdom by pretending to fix a riding lawnmower I barely understood, like a chimp trying to solve a Rubik's Cube, when a couple rocks landed near my feet. Now, this wasn't some biblical stoning situation, just two girls giggling from a distance, clearly aiming for flirtation, but with the accuracy of stormtroopers on ketamine. I froze like a deer in cheap-ass headlights. Girls? Looking at me? Holy shit. I didn't understand flirting. I barely understood algebra. Talking to girls felt like trying to defuse a bomb while blindfolded, on fire, and with your asshole clenched so tight you could snap a pencil in half. But then they came over. These two girls, whose names I'm keeping secret because I'm classy as fuck and also slightly afraid of Facebook reunions, were, without exaggeration, the most beautiful humans I'd ever laid my hormone-soaked eyes on. Turns out their grandparents lived next door. What followed was one of the best summers of my awkward, hormonally unstable life. I swear to God, a part of me instantly thought, yep, one of these girls might be my future wife, which was so goddamn laughable it should have come with a laugh track. My imagination just took off like a jackrabbit on PCP and really bad fucking intentions. I had no real clue how to talk to girls, and nobody ever taught me that shit. Not a parent, not a mentor. Just the occasional late-night Showtime flick or one of those older Demi Moore movies that was definitely too mature for my undeveloped frontal lobe. Movies where I'd spend half the time wondering if I should jerk off or take notes, usually settling for both, with predictably disastrous results. Socially, these girls were probably light years ahead of me, like comparing a Ferrari to a tricycle with a busted wheel. Deep down, I knew they'd never be more than friends, because I didn't even know how to ask the right fucking questions, let alone ask someone out without sounding like I was ordering a Big Mac with extra anxiety sauce. But damn, that friendship hit hard and fast. Like the first time you discover porn on the family computer. And maybe part of the reason I clung so hard to that friendship was because of what came next. Later that summer, I finally got the courage to ask a girl out. Not one of the neighbor girls, but someone else I thought might be the one. Because that's what happens when you grow up on a steady diet of Showtime softcore and zero real-life advice from any goddamn adult in your life. It was a Friday afternoon around 2 p.m., the kind of hot, stupid-ass summer day when everything feels like it might change your life. I blew my entire fucking paycheck, yes, all of it, on a goddamn stretch limo. Like I was recreating the movie Blank Check, only with fewer zeros and more desperation than a junkie looking for his next fix. I even bought her flowers like some pathetic rom-com character. I wanted to give her a day she'd never forget. Hell, I wanted to give myself a day I'd never forget, because my memories up until then had been about as pleasant as a colonoscopy performed by Edward Scissorhands. But she ghosted me. Straight up stood me up like a Netflix subscription trial that hit its data cap. Left me standing there with my dick in my hand and flowers wilting faster than my self-esteem. So what did I do? I called my two ride-or-die neighbor girls, the same ones who once threw rocks at me to flirt because apparently concussions are foreplay in the Midwest. And without missing a beat, they said, "Hell yeah." That limo rolled up like a mobile redemption arc, parked right in front of the house like we were starring in our own low-budget teen rom-com directed by someone with a head injury. We hit the mall, we hit McDonald's like royalty ordering from our fucking chariot, and we turned that heartbreak into the chillest, no-pressure afternoon ever. No drama, no date expectations, just cruising through town with zero fucks given, making memories out of what could have been a teenage tragedy worthy of a shitty country song. We swam in their grandparents' pool like prepubescent dolphins on cocaine, played flashlight tag like the fate of the universe depended on it, and invented dumb games because we were poor as shit and imaginative as fuck. For once, there were no worries. Just long days, late sunsets, and me pretending I didn't almost pass out every time one of them smiled at me, my hormones doing the goddamn electric slide in my bloodstream. The brotherhood of non-toxic and other noble pursuits. Alan and I weren't just summer homies. We were practically honorary brothers with a codependent caffeine habit that would make a Colombian drug lord proud. I started spending the night at his house so often his parents probably considered claiming me as a dependent on their taxes. And it was more than just hanging out. It was peace, man. His parents actually sat down for dinner together, like with actual fucking plates and conversation and everything. That hit me different. Real different. I didn't even do that with my new family. At Alan's, I felt something I didn't know I was missing. A quiet kind of wholeness that made me think, yeah, this is what I want to work my ass off for someday. Instead of, how fast can I run if the screaming starts? Alan and I were still thick as thieves, or more like dumbasses with bikes and a death wish. We spent a good chunk of the summer together, riding around like two semi-feral golden retrievers looking for snacks, validation, and possibly ways to accidentally kill ourselves without meaning to. When August rolled around, it was game time. And I don't mean the fun kind with controllers and Mountain Dew. Friday night lights and the weight room of regret football changed everything. It also fucked my legs sideways and obliterated most of my ability to walk like a normal human being, who hadn't just been hit by a freight train filled with barbells and bad decisions. Practice was brutal. Weights, drills, and enough sprints to qualify as war crimes in some countries where they still have basic human rights. I can still hear the 5 o'clock siren blaring across town, signaling the end of practice and the beginning of me trying not to puke my fucking guts out on the walk home, while questioning every life choice that led me to this moment of pure athletic hell. Coach called me Schulze, which I pretended was cool but sounded like a rejected character from Hogan's Heroes, or the name of a German schnitzel restaurant with health code violations. I struggled to learn the plays at first, shout out to my IEP and my ADHD tag team, the dynamic duo of, why the fuck can't I remember which way to run? But I started to push through, even though my brain kept trying to sabotage me like an inside job. I wasn't the star. I wasn't the fastest. But I was reliable, like a Honda Civic with 200,000 miles that still gets you to work even though something's always rattling under the hood. And in high school football? That's one step above being cannon fodder or the kid they only put in when they're up by 40 points. I played both offense and defense, which basically meant I was too stubborn to quit and too desperate for approval to admit I was dying inside. It wasn't just about football. It was about feeling like I mattered, even if I couldn't remember the difference between a slant route and a slice of pizza half the fucking time. It was about belonging to something bigger than my tragic backstory, something that didn't give a shit about my past as long as I could tackle the guy with the ball and not crap myself on the field. Blonde ambition and gas station gourmet freshman year kicked in like a Red Bull-fueled tornado with a crack habit and daddy issues. Alan and I dyed our hair blonde because we were absolutely obsessed with Eminem. Like, religiously fucking obsessed. We thought if we bleached our heads and scowled enough, we might suddenly drop a Fire mixtape and solve our emotional damage in a 16-bar verse. Look at us, we're the next Slim Shady! No, we were more like Dim maybe, but fuck it, it was our way of screaming, we're edgy, without actually doing anything criminal enough to get us thrown back into the system. Our school photos? Iconic fucking disasters. New haircuts that made us look like we'd stuck our fingers in electrical sockets, old wounds barely concealed behind fake smiles and big, we got this, maybe, oh God, please help us. Energy radiating off us like body odor in a middle school locker room. I didn't fit into any one crowd, so I floated like a social tumbleweed with commitment issues. A quiet class clown, cracking jokes in the back of class like a low-budget stand-up comedian performing for an audience of empty chairs, and praying no one noticed how unsure I really felt beneath my I don't give a fuck armor. Then Jeff entered the picture, a year older, driver's license clutched in his hand like a golden ticket to Willy Wonka's factory, and the coolest car I'd ever seen, an '88 Pontiac 2000 with a 4-cylinder engine that roared like a tired leaf blower with bronchitis and looked like it had been through a bar fight with a snowplow and lost spectacularly. Gas station lunches became our Michelin-starred dining experience. Nothing says living the teenage dream like a microwave burrito that's both freezing cold and lava hot at the same time, washed down with enough Mountain Dew to make your piss glow in the dark. Late-night rides through Edgerton felt like freedom. The kind that makes you want to scream into the wind even though you have nothing profound to say beyond, "Fuck, yeah." And more hours at non-toxic meant more epic pool games, more dumb jokes that only make sense when you're young and stupid, and more reasons to believe maybe, just maybe, I wasn't as fucked up as I used to think. Or at least I was fucked up in a way that could occasionally pass for normal in the right lighting. Final reflection. The unlikely blueprint for peace. This chapter wasn't about surviving. It was about becoming someone, like a goblin slowly transforming into a semi-functioning adult. Or at least a goblin that remembered to wash its ass regularly and occasionally felt emotions beyond blind rage and crippling fear. The damage didn't disappear, it just got a little quieter, like someone finally turned down the volume on the "You're Worthless" soundtrack that had been blasting in my head since childhood. And in its place, some seriously good shit started blooming, like flowers growing out of a garbage dump. Unexpected, fragile, but somehow more beautiful because of where they came from. Neurologically speaking, I was experiencing what the nerds with PhDs call resilient adaptation. My brain was like, oh, we're not dodging metaphorical bullets every 5 minutes? Cool, let's maybe try this whole emotional regulation thing instead of just shutting down or freaking the fuck out. Between football, friendship, late-night limos, and pizza-fueled mentorship, my nervous system finally took a nap and maybe rubbed one out in peace for the first time in years. And as a teen, this chapter hit different. It was a sneak peek into a life I didn't even know I wanted. A life where people sit down for dinner together without throwing plates, where your friends show up when your date ghosts you instead of ghosting you themselves, and where a rusty old Pontiac becomes the getaway car for joy instead of fear. It was like someone handed me a pamphlet for normal fucking life and said, hey dipshit, this could be you someday if you don't completely fuck it up. For parents, mentors, and any poor soul raising a teenager, consistency matters. Attention matters. Let your kid fail without treating them like they're disposable garbage. Tell them they're not broken. Tell them they're becoming. And if you're not their parent, be the coach who notices, the neighbor who waves, the pizza boss who doesn't fire their ass for dropping a pie. The world's got enough assholes. Be the reason some kid doesn't become another one. I wasn't healed yet. Not by a long fucking shot. I was still a walking disaster area with trust issues and enough baggage to fill a 747. But I had something I hadn't had before, hope. And that shit, that's where everything starts. That's the fucking seed that grows into whatever the hell comes next. Little did I know that seed would sprout into something wild and uncontrollable. The next chapter of my life was already brewing like a storm on the horizon, a perfect cocktail of bad decisions, good weed, and skipping more classes than I attended. My attendance record was about to look like Swiss cheese. My lungs were about to get acquainted with smoke that didn't come from cigarettes, and that broken kid inside me. He was getting ready to snap like a twig in a hurricane. The warning signs were there. I was just too busy enjoying the calm before the storm to notice them. Football discipline was about to meet teenage rebellion, and spoiler alert, rebellion always wins that fucking match.